Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into NLP and how it can help boost your self-esteem and unlock your potential.
Sounds exciting.
We've got some great material to work with, um, some audio lectures and a book excerpt,
Yeah.
all about NLP.
Excellent.
So should we just jump right in and see what we can uncover?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. One of the things that really jumped out at me from this material was the focus on visualization.
Yeah.
I kind of get the basic idea, but how does visualization actually work? Like to reshape self-image, boost self-esteem. How does that really work?
Well, it's not just about like creating pretty pictures in your mind.
Right.
Um, NLP says that our brains don't always know the difference between something that's real and something we imagine very vividly. So when you consistently visualize what you want or a stronger version of yourself, it can actually start to rewire your brain.
Like you're creating new pathways.
Exactly, yeah. Creating new pathways, and you're making new associations in your brain that are more empowering.
So it's almost like you're tricking your brain into believing it's already happened.
In a way, yeah. The material mentions a businessman, Fred, who used visualization to overcome depression.
Oh, interesting.
He imagined his depression as this solid black wall.
Okay.
And then he visualized that wall changing, becoming white and crumbling away.
That's a powerful image. But how did that actually impact how he felt?
Well, that's the thing. By doing that visualization over and over, he was basically weakening the neural connections associated with feeling, blocked or trapped by his depression.
Interesting.
And at the same time, he was making the pathways connected to feeling open and having possibilities stronger. So it's not about ignoring the problem, but like changing how your brain relates to it.
I see. So you're changing your relationship to the problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've always been a little bit skeptical of like positive thinking and affirmations.
Right.
I mean, if you're just telling yourself that everything's great when it's not, it just feels, I don't know, inauthentic.
Yeah. No, that's a valid point. And NLP is not about denying reality or pretending things are different than they are.
Okay.
It's more about understanding how powerful your internal representations are and using them strategically. Like instead of arguing with your negative thoughts, you create this positive vision that's so strong, those negative thoughts kind of lose their power.
I see. So you're not denying the challenge. You're just choosing to focus on something else.
Exactly. And that shift in focus can then change how you act and what ends up happening.
Okay, I can see that. So visualization is one tool. What about when you have that negative inner critic that just won't be quiet?
Yeah.
That voice that says you're not good enough or you're going to fail.
The inner critic, right. We all have that. But instead of trying to silence it, which is almost impossible,
Right.
NLP suggests we try to work with it.
Work with it.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's out to sabotage me?
Well, it's not about agreeing with it. It's about figuring out what it's trying to do, what its intention is. Often that critical voice is trying to protect you in some way, even if it's not doing it in a very helpful way.
So you're saying there's a positive intention behind it?
Yeah, maybe it's trying to prevent you from being embarrassed or failing. Its intention might be to keep you safe.
I see. It's trying to help in its own way. But how do you make it more supportive?
Well, one technique is to have a conversation with it.
Really? A conversation with that voice?
Yeah, you ask it, what are you trying to achieve here? What's your positive intention? And once you understand its goal, you can brainstorm better ways to fulfill that intention.
Okay, so instead of it saying, you're going to mess this up, it might say something like, let's make sure we're prepared so we can do our best.
Exactly. It's about shifting the language and the focus from criticism to support.
I like that. It feels more like a collaboration. Now, there's this technique that sounds really interesting, the swish pattern.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
The swish pattern is one of the core techniques in NLP. It's all about interrupting those automatic negative reactions you have and replacing them with something more helpful, more empowering.
Yeah.
It's really useful for things like, phobias or anxiety triggers, that sort of thing.
I'm definitely intrigued. I have a bit of a fear of public speaking I'd love to get over. So how does this swish pattern actually work? Is it like hypnosis or something?
It's not hypnosis, no, but it does use your imagination in a very specific way. It's based on the idea that our brains, they respond really strongly to visual images, right?
Okay, yeah.
So let's use your fear of public speaking as an example.
Yeah.
The first step is to identify that image, the one that triggers the fear.
Okay. For me, it's that moment right before I walk on stage. The spotlight is blinding, and I see all those faces in the audience just staring at me, waiting for me to speak.
Okay, so that's a pretty vivid picture. Now, the next step is to create another image, one that's equally compelling. But this time, it's an image of you as a confident, successful speaker. Imagine yourself owning the stage, connecting with the audience, feeling totally at ease, delivering your message with power. Make this image big and bright, full of energy.
Okay, I'm picturing myself up there, relaxed, smiling, feeling in control. The audience is engaged, and I'm actually enjoying the experience. It feels good to imagine that.
That's it. You want to anchor that good feeling to this new image. Now comes the swish part. Think about that trigger image, the spotlight, the expectant faces. See it in your mind, but this time make it small, dim, far away. And as you're shrinking that image, you simultaneously bring that positive image of you, the confident speaker, closer and closer, making it bigger, brighter, until it totally fills your mind.
So you're basically replacing the negative image with the positive one. It's like a mental movie edit.
Exactly. And the more you practice this swish, the quicker that replacement becomes. Almost automatic. You're literally rewiring your brain's response to the trigger.
That's really fascinating. So if I were to do this regularly, eventually when I'm actually about to go on stage, my brain would automatically bring up that positive image and the feeling of confidence.
That's the idea. The swish pattern is like, installing new software in your brain, replacing that old program of fear with a new program of confidence.
I can see how this could be used for so many things, not just phobias, but like procrastination, negative self-talk, bad habits. You could swish away anything that's holding you back.
That's the power of NLP, right? It gives you these tools to work with your mind in a way that creates real change.
This is making a lot of sense on a practical level, but how does NLP address those deeper issues? Like really accepting yourself, building genuine self-esteem. It's one thing to swish away a phobia, but what about those core beliefs you have about yourself?
Yeah, that's important. NLP recognizes that how we see ourselves is often shaped by past experiences and the stories we tell ourselves about those experiences. And one of the techniques for addressing that is something called the autobiography.
The autobiography. Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. The people who really love us often see these great qualities in us, things we might overlook or not fully appreciate in ourselves. So in this exercise, you imagine that someone who loves you is writing your autobiography.
So you're seeing yourself through the eyes of someone who sees the best in you.
Exactly. You choose someone, a parent, a mentor, a really close friend, and you step into their shoes. Imagine them writing your life story, highlighting all your strengths, your accomplishments, the positive impact you've had.
It's like giving yourself the gift of being seen and appreciated for who you really are, not the version you might criticize.
Right. And as you immerse yourself in that loving perspective, you can start to really internalize those positive messages, almost rewrite your own internal story. It's a very powerful way to shift those deep-seated beliefs.
I can see how this would be really helpful for people who struggle with low self-esteem or maybe have a really harsh inner critic. It's like you're giving that critic a break and letting a more loving voice take over.
I love that. And the more you practice this, seeing yourself through those loving eyes, the more those positive feelings become part of who you are.
It makes me think about setting goals and creating a positive attitude. Does NLP have anything to say about those things?
Absolutely. The material you gave me talks about this athlete, Garrett Ferris, who used a super positive mindset to recover from a serious accident. His story really embodies what NLP sees as the 6 essential elements of a positive mental attitude.
6 elements. Okay, I'm ready to take notes. Let's hear them.
Okay, so the first one is what NLP calls motivation direction. And it's all about being pulled toward what you want, rather than just avoiding what you don't want.
So it's about focusing on the positive and letting that desire fuel your actions.
You got it. It's like having a magnetic pull towards your goals. The second element is high standards. It's about setting the bar high for yourself, striving for excellence, not settling for good enough.
I see. That sounds motivating, but maybe a little daunting too.
Which is why the third element is so important. It's called chunking down goals. It's all about taking those big, possibly scary goals and breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps.
So instead of thinking about climbing the entire mountain, you just focus on taking one step at a time.
Exactly. That way it's less intimidating, and you get to celebrate those little wins along the way, which helps keep you motivated.
That makes perfect sense. What's the fourth element?
The fourth one is about combining present and future timeframes. This means finding that balance between being present in the moment, but also keeping your focus on that exciting vision of the future you're creating.
So it's like you have a roadmap, but you're also being mindful and present for every step along the way.
You nailed it. You need both of those things, being grounded in the present and excited about the future, to stay on track and keep going.
All right, we're on a roll. What are the last 2?
Number 5 is personal involvement. It means taking ownership of your goals and actively participating in making them happen.
So it's about being the driver, not the passenger, in your own success.
Love that analogy. It's about taking responsibility, making choices, instead of just waiting for things to happen. And finally, the sixth element is self-to-self comparisons. It means measuring your progress against your own past performance, not against what other people are doing.
So it's about focusing on your own personal growth, not getting caught in that trap of comparing yourself to others.
Exactly. It's about recognizing how far you've come, celebrating your own wins, and using that as motivation to keep moving forward.
Those six elements seem like such a strong foundation for creating a more resilient, empowered mindset. But let's be real, it's one thing to know these principles, it's another to live them every day. What are some tips for making these ideas part of our everyday life?
One of the most important things to remember about NLP is that it's about practice. It's about experimenting. It's not like some magic solution, but a set of tools you can use to train your mind.
So it's like learning any new skill. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to learn.
Exactly. And you have to be patient with yourself. You're not going to be a master overnight. Start with one or two techniques that resonate with you and just gradually incorporate them into your life.
It's like building muscle. You wouldn't expect to bench press 200 pounds your first time at the gym. You start slow and build up your strength.
Perfect analogy. And just like with exercise, consistency is key.
So it's not about being perfect, but about making a conscious choice to shift your thinking and your actions in a positive direction.
That's NLP in a nutshell. It's about taking control of your mind and using it to create the life you want.
This has been so insightful. I feel like I'm seeing the world in a whole new way, a way that's full of possibility. But I want to pause here and bring it back to our listener. What are some of the things they can start using right now to boost their self-esteem and unlock their potential?
One simple but very powerful thing they can do is just start paying attention to their self-talk, that voice in their head.
So it's about becoming more aware of our thoughts. But what do you do once you're aware of that negative self-talk? It's not like you can just shut it off.
That's where the power of language comes in. NLP is all about reframing, about taking those negative thoughts and turning them into something more positive and empowering.
Could you give an example of what that might sound like?
Sure, let's say your inner critic says, "I'm not good enough."
Yeah.
Instead of letting that thought take over, you could reframe it and say, "I'm learning and growing every day," or "I have unique strengths that I can offer the world."
So it's about consciously choosing a different inner voice, one that's supportive.
Exactly. And it's about focusing on what you can control, like your attitude and your effort.
It's like you become your own cheerleader instead of your own worst enemy.
I love that. And that positive self-talk, it can have a huge impact on how you feel, how resilient you are, even your overall well-being.
I see how all these NLP techniques we've talked about fit together. You start by paying attention, then you reframe your thoughts, and that leads to taking positive actions and reaching your goals.
Exactly. It's a whole person approach to personal growth. It works with your inner world, your thoughts and feelings, and the outer world, how you act and what you achieve.
One thing that stood out to me was how important it is to set clear goals. It's like NLP takes goal setting to another level.
You're right. NLP stresses that your goals should be more than just specific and measurable. They should also match your values and your deepest desires.
So it's not just about achieving any goal, but about making sure the goal is actually meaningful to you.
Exactly. And NLP provides a framework for breaking those big goals down into smaller steps you can actually manage.
Like having a roadmap that shows you how to get where you want to go, with checkpoints along the way to keep you motivated.
And that sense of making progress is so important. It helps you stay on track and not get discouraged.
Which makes me think about how important it is to celebrate those wins, even the little ones. It seems like NLP encourages us to be grateful for all our efforts.
Absolutely. NLP recognizes that success isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. You need to acknowledge and celebrate those small victories along the way because those are what keep you going.
It's like patting yourself on the back for every step in the right direction.
And those little acts of self-appreciation, they really boost your self-esteem and make you feel better overall.
It's like you're making deposits into your self-esteem bank account.
I love that. And it reminds us that building self-esteem is a process, something we have to work at consistently, not just something we achieve once and then we're done.
It's like anything else we want to get good at. It takes practice and dedication.
Exactly. The more we practice these NLP techniques, the more natural they become. And that's when we start seeing those positive changes.
This has been such an amazing journey into the world of NLP. We've covered so much, from visualization and reframing to the swish pattern and the power of language, from setting goals to celebrating our wins. It's like we've been given this whole new toolkit for self-discovery. And I feel like this is just the beginning for our listener. Before we wrap up, what are your final thoughts about NLP and how our listener can keep exploring this?
Well, one of the coolest things about NLP is that it's always evolving, right? It's not like some fixed set of rules, but a really adaptable approach to personal growth. So I'd say approach it with curiosity, a willingness to experiment, try different things, and see what clicks for you.
So find what works for you and tailor these tools to your own needs and goals.
Exactly. And it's important to remember NLP is a skill. And like any skill, it needs practice. The more you use these techniques, the better you get at them.
Right. It's not about instant perfection, but about consistently making an effort to change how you think and how you act and moving in a positive direction.
That's the heart of it. And you don't have to do this alone. There are tons of resources out there, books, courses, workshops, even online groups. Find people who love NLP and learn from each other.
It's a good reminder that we're all on this journey of self-improvement together. Now, before we wrap up, one final thought's been bugging me. If you could give our listener just one thing to ponder, one NLP idea to really spark their thinking, what would it be?
That's a tough one. Okay, how about this? Imagine you could reprogram your past. Fill it with memories of yourself performing at your absolute best. What would that look and feel like? And how do you think it would change your present and your future?
Wow, that's deep. It makes you think about how much those past experiences, how we remember them, shape our beliefs about ourselves and what we think is possible. If we could choose to focus on those moments of success when we were confident and capable, that could totally change our whole perspective.
It absolutely could. Our memories, they aren't always completely accurate, are they? They're influenced by our emotions and how we understand things.
Hmm.
So if we choose to revisit those peak moments, we're basically strengthening those positive neural connections, building a stronger foundation for who we are now and who we can become.
It's like giving ourselves a mental upgrade.
Exactly. We have so much more power to shape our reality than we think.
Well, that's incredibly inspiring. I think it's a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive into NLP. I'm feeling energized and ready to start putting all this into action.
Me too. I really enjoyed talking about this with you.
And a huge thank you to our listeners for being here with us. We hope you've gotten some great insights and tools to boost your self-esteem and unlock your full potential. And remember, the journey of self-discovery never really ends.
NLP can be an awesome guide along the way.
We've got links to some fantastic NLP resources in the show notes, so keep learning, keep experimenting, keep believing in the power of your mind to create the life you want. Until next time, happy diving.